Hello, it's Chaplin73 here. I am joined today by Donna, aka Ezmerelda, who is an artist, crafter, writer, performer. Hello, Donna.
Hello, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks. Yourself?
Good, thanks.
Good, good. I will crack on with the first question. Just give you the first question is just to give you an opportunity to say a bit about yourself. So, who are you? What do you do? And where are you based?
I'm Donna, or also known as Ezmerelda Glass. I'm a writer, artist, performer, poet, empowerment worker, queer activist. Occasionally, at the moment, I'm a bit knackered, so I'm taking a time out of that. I make stained glass. I'm based in Southsea in Portsmouth, down by the sea. It's bloody lovely. I love it.
I was there the other day.
Yeah, you were there for a show, eh?
Unfortunately, I couldn't meet up with you, but I did get to see the My Dog Size show, which was great. And it seems that Southsea is quite a creative place. Is that?
It's amazing. Right? It is. It's when I first drove into Portsmouth. It was. I think I've been here for about how long? 8 years-ish. And not that I like this kind of thing, but we drove into Portsmouth, and the person I was with at the time didn't want to live here because they'd come from here and got away. You know, like people in their hometown, and they don't want to ever go back. Anyway, we'd come back, and as we were driving in, there was a mattress swinging from a tree on a roundabout. And I was like, well, this looks interesting. And then we took a drive down Albert Road.
Yeah.
And so you saw Albert Road. And it's just the most gorgeous, interesting place. Portsmouth is really peculiar. It's incredibly tribal, but it's like a massive, I don't know, fuck you, give us a cuddle mush. It's just the most wonderful place. I love it. I really, really love it, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great. It's so inspiring as well. I'm being surrounded by creatives and artists everywhere, and the beach is down the road. You know, you're living on holiday every day of the week.
You have kind of got the best of both worlds because
we totally have.
Yeah, you've got really that sort of like industrial side of things with you know your street art and stuff like that. Whereas in Cornwall we haven't really got that. We've got the beaches, but we haven't got much urban art. We've got no urban, you know, in that way. In the way that places like Southsea have,
we're incredibly lucky. I wish it was a bit bigger in terms of, I'd like the creativity to stretch out, because Southsea in particular is really well served for art and creativity. But there are places like North End, which is literally just over the road, and it's kind of forgotten. It's the less economically viable area of Portsmouth. I mean, then you can go on to the rest of Portsmouth, but North End in particular is a kind of, oh well, it's over there, we won't bother. And you know, if you're going to, this is a bit of a nag and it's a bit of a moan, if you're going to be an artist, and if you're going to be a street artist, and we all know you all walk around and you get on a train and you do your thing, get your lazy ass up there and treat the rest of the city, not just Southsea. It's not fair.
Yeah.
You know, it's really not.
Yeah, I suppose in some areas it's more accepted than others as well.
Oh God, yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
You know, Southsea, I did see quite a lot of street art. There were places,
really
back alleys that were just covered in paintings, and they hadn't been scrubbed off and stuff like that. No. Whereas in Cornwall, if you go into like an underpass or something and you spray something on the wall, 2 days later it's been jetted off. You know, it's gone. The council won't put up.
Yeah.
It's kind of, you know, it's cleaned off and not really, it's frowned upon, shall we say?
Yeah, and I wish we've got some frowned upon. Sorry.
Yeah, I wish it wasn't, because I think that there's so much artistic talent in Cornwall, and there's so many artists who could be doing murals and big stuff on walls and stuff that would really showcase their talent and put it in front of a very different audience, because I think that's the thing about street art is it puts it in front of people who don't normally see art.
Totally does. Yeah, and there's also the other aspect of that I think anyway is that street art in itself is so appealing to kids. It's naughty, it's big, it's bold, in your face. And we've got kids everywhere, bored out of their brains. There's no money, there's no facilities. It's all been taken away. And so it would be, it seems, sorry, I'm stuttering, because this is something that also really, like, we've got kids not being able to do art in school. Funding's being taken away. They're wandering around the streets being told what useless, feckless layabouts they are. These are, come on now, it's up to us to feed them and give them that.
Opportunities,
it's not fair.
Isn't it? It's opportunities to be creative, which
absolutely,
you know, is very much lacking at the moment, unfortunately, because we don't, as a you know, as a community, as a society, we don't value art and creativity in the way that it should be. You know, you've only got to look at, you know, the grants that are available for degrees or whatever, and you get massive amounts of grant for maths and science, but arts get, you know, you can't get any help if you want to do an art.
Well, it's just a bit of frippery and fun, isn't it?
Yeah,
you
but
know?
everything,
so they say,
everything we own, everything we touch, everything we buy has been designed by somebody, has been made by somebody, has been created by somebody, and it really gets my goat. And I understand you stuttering. I understand you stuttering because I want to stutter too. It's you know, it's just frustrating as hell, isn't it? It's, you know,
it is, and it's such a simple bloody solution. It's not like it's a complicated thing.
Yeah.
You know, it's not complicated.
Yeah, I mean, I did some work a month or so ago when we had G7. I worked with some homeschooled kids doing some spray can art, and they absolutely loved it. They lit up, they started talking to each other, they, you know, and really worked together to create something. And, you know, it wasn't you know, it wasn't My Dog Size or Irony or anything, but it was something that they'd created and they felt very proud of, you know, and you that's what it should all be about, really. But...
Absolutely.
Which leads us on to another question. Who or what influenced your art? You know, what made you start doing stained glass, shall we say?
Oh, right. Okay. Well, so what influenced me art to begin with was that I was skint. I didn't even know I was an artist. I really didn't. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I was just so poor. Made my own clothes, decorated my own stuff, did the furniture, you know, everything that needed to be doing that was pretty or going to enhance where we lived. I just did it.
Yeah.
It was when I was in my late 30s. I've always been obsessed with glass. It's feminine in its nature to me. It comes from the sea. It's from sand. It has a transparency. It's the strongest fucking thing on earth. But if you treat it badly, it will shatter and you'll never ever get it back together again. So to me, it's a woman.
Yeah.
And so I love working with glass, and it's cold and hard, the flat glass that I use. If I'm nice with it and gentle with it and treat it like it knows what it's doing, and I'm just there to help make whatever wants to come out, then I end up making beautiful things. I taught myself, I was giving up smoking and I had nothing to do with my hands, you know, and it was that or just keep eating the fridge, and I was just getting bigger, so I couldn't keep doing that. I really was. I like a food, you know, so so I taught myself stained glass, and I took over. It started in a little corner, then I took over half the living room, then I threw my kids out of their bedroom because they only came for the weekend, so they only needed the box room. They were really pissed off. I don't care. And then I took over the front room and turned that into a studio, and I just kept going and going, and it became, I don't like using the word obsession, but it absolutely was, and it still is. And the only reason I'm not doing it right now is because it's so fucking expensive, and I'm not capable cognitively to do the online selling. So while the lockdown's been going on, I haven't earned anything. I've just been going nuts and trying and doing what I can when I can, and I've been playing with the other things that I do, but stained glass is my absolute love, with all my heart. I just, if I could do that all day every day and not do anything else, I might I probably wouldn't. No, that's a lie. I would still do all the other things, but I would like it.
Yeah.
You know.
And yeah, you've created some really beautiful things.
Thank you.
I've seen, you know, quite a lot of your creations online, and they are
Thank
truly
you.
stunning. And you know, I'm surprised to hear that you were self-taught. I honestly thought you know, learnt off somebody who was a, you know,
No.
stained glass
No,
window
I just
maker or something.
no, I just sat in a little room and burnt myself until I got it. Yeah, bloody minded I am.
And what about all the other stuff? You know, your poetry and your writing.
Well, the poetry came about. I was really pissed off with the poetry. Actually, I never wanted to be a poet. Talking about wandering clouds and stuff, I really didn't. It's not cool, is it? When it first came to me, I still had that whole I'm going to be really cool. So I made stained glass and poetry. Probably two of the least cool things as far as I was concerned at the time. But the first poem came out, and it wasn't planned. I wasn't writing at the time. Nothing. The words just came out, and I couldn't stop. I've since subsequently found out that that's quite common, and it's a really good route through therapy, creative therapy. It's a really good way.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that at the time. It was about, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago was the beginning of the poetry. And now I love it. Because I also still don't know all the rules. I've given poetry workshops, and there have been, I'm going to use a really wanky voice. I don't mean it. It's just that I do. There were people with, well, that's not the rules of poetry, Donna, and that's not how you're supposed to. Well, then you need to go to a different workshop, because I'm an artist and I scribble words on the piece of paper and I make them work somehow. They have a rhythm.
Yeah.
And it's more like, so I also love hip hop and I love rap. And in my head, a lot of the time what I'm writing is that.
Yeah.
And eventually I will start putting the words into verses and turn it into music. I've done a couple. I did a couple last year before, and I was really pleased with them. Really pleased. Did a collab with another a musician friend. And I was very happy with those two. So that's going to be something else that I continue to explore. And I also design and make clothes. I've got a show coming up with that at some point soon. So I'm really excited about that. That's in Southampton with my friend Yanni, who is the director of the art house in Southampton. And he's also a really, really strong queer activist and trans advocate. And so we work really well together, and we've got a really good rapport. And they have offered me a pop-up kind of fashion show. So, and I want to make it all out of old t-shirts. And I've been putting shout outs, and you know what bastards are like with their t-shirts. They want to hold them until they fall to bits. They won't give me them. So I'm going to start going around mugging people or getting me arse in the clothing bank. You know, those things that you can, I'm just going to start climbing in there soon. So it'll be fine. So that's in November.
I'll have to have a sort out of all my t-shirts now and send you some.
Thanks. That'd be great. Because I want to make the whole collection out of old t-shirts. I don't want to use anything else, you see.
Right.
And as much as possible, we used to call it unisex, didn't we? Clothing that wasn't gendered. Now we call it like non-binary or genderless clothing.
Yeah.
So quite a lot of my clothes quite a lot of my clothing is really loose and flowing and it's practical. I want it to be so that any gender can wear it if they want to, and it's also pocketed, and it's practical for like artists, because if I get paint on some of mine, I don't actually care, because it just makes it look better, because it's all made out of recycled material. I use bedding a lot, like fancy granny's duvet covers are my favorite. So I've been doing that for years as well. I love it.
And the recycling thing at the moment is obviously, you know, it's quite forefront in people's minds of, you know, reusing and obviously.
Well, when I began originally, I was called Junket Love. That was my creative world, was with recycled materials. And recycled glass, actually. I started with clear glass. I'm sorry, my battery's going to run out, so I'm terribly sorry, this is not good for an interview. I used to get in a skip at the back of an old glass shop, And they caught me, and then they put a cover on it and said I wasn't allowed because health and safety wouldn't be happy. So then I had to get clear glass and start using new materials. That's where the coloured glass came in, because I always used clear glass. I really enjoyed using the clear glass. So yeah, I don't know where I went then. I went off on a tangent, didn't I? I was trying to find the charger. All that. I'm very professional as an artist, Darren.
Aren't we all? Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to look at ways of incorporating some sort of like recycling into the work that I do at the moment.
Yeah.
Which, you know, yeah, I'm playing with a few ideas. I was quite inspired by My Dog Size to show, and you know, his use of the cans to turn them into the birds that he made, which was quite good. And I'm looking at using like plastic bottles to turn them into like Marx Brother characters, you know. So
that's a really good idea.
I'm hoping to do something recycly, and also with things that I paint on. I'm fed up of just buying a canvas and painting on a canvas because that's boring. And I want to, you know, incorporate some textiles and stuff, old bits of clothing or whatever, because I just think that would be make things a bit more interesting, really.
Totally. And I love texture on paintings as well. There's, you know, when it's not just paint and there's bits of stuff glued on.
You go to galleries, don't you? And you really want to touch the paintings, but you know you're not allowed. It's like, I want to touch.
I know, it's awful. And you know, like, I don't know if you're the same, but I don't like to buy things unless I touch them. So I don't buy things off the internet, for example. Fuck that. I don't know what it feels like. I don't know what it smells like. I need to. So yeah, when there's artwork that is so tactile looking, I have to kind of put my hands behind my back because I'm sod.
Yeah, I'm the same. I sometimes find I'm getting very close to a painting, and you know, the people in the gallery are looking at me strangely.
I sometimes ask permission.
But quite often there's big signs saying, "Please do not touch," and you're like, I want to. You know, it's just so tactile, isn't it? So, you know.
There's that. I remember that guy. I can't remember his name now. African artist who made the work with the elephant dung.
Yep.
And there was one of his pieces was in Southampton again a few years ago, and I was just desperate to take it. It was incredible, the textures of it. I really wanted to get my fingers in it, not in the dung, obviously, that would be gross, but I really wanted to get my, what's his name again?
I'm just looking to see if I've got the book up here. I'm pretty sure it was in this exhibition. Chris O'Feely.
That's the one. Yeah. Brilliant work.
Sensation.
Nice.
I thought it was there. That's why I turned around and started looking at my bookshelf. I wasn't being rude.
It's all right. Just climbed all over the place.
It was bugging me as to what his name was. So, moving on to the next question. What advice would you give to somebody who wanted to develop a creative practice? Obviously, you've said something about the fact that, you know, you started off in a corner and ended up taking over the whole of the house. What advice would you give?
Really, just do it. Like that is kind of, and I know that sounds so simplistic, but you can spend your whole time, and I do it sometimes, I'm still circling painting, like I'm like an oily cat trying to catch myself. No, fuck off, I'm not doing it. So I know that feeling.
Yeah,
it's really, really challenging is a fabulous word. It's really hard. It's so difficult, and anybody who says it isn't is a bloody liar. I think that if you can, you know, taking into account if you have a family life or a busy life and your working life, or if your mind isn't quite in it, if you can commit to 5 minutes a day, that's it. You don't have to do any more than that. 5 minutes a day, either researching, playing with, talking about. You don't even have to be doing it. Just dedicating a little bit of time in your day to what it is you're interested in.
Yeah.
That's it. And if you don't know what you're interested in, write a list of all the things you like, stick a pin in the fucker, and go and have a look.
Yeah.
It's, you know, it's, I know that sounds Yeah, it's so easy. I talk to lots of people who say, I wish I was creative. Well, you are. We are all born creative.
Yeah.
We are an animal that is solution based, and solution is creative. We have just turned it into pretty. And that's literally, if you strip it down to its bare basics and what it is, it's cave. How do I fix it? What do I do? Well, just do it. Just,
Yeah.
you know?
I think it doesn't help with the title art sometimes. You said this before we started recording about craft.
Yeah.
There is a lot of snobbery in the art world.
There absolutely is.
And art that you learn at school is all about drawing that bowl of fruit and getting the light right and getting your perspective right. And you know, and I didn't even discover things like, you know, abstract expressionism until I left school. You know, I didn't really learn about that at school. You learn about painting a bowl of fruit or whatever.
Well, you had something plonked in front of you, didn't you?
Yeah, and I just think that that's a bit crap, really, because it puts people off art, doesn't it? Really,
Totally agree.
In my sixth form, I learned about. I did an activity week, which was sculpture, and I learned about, you know, Richard Long getting some mud and putting it on a wall in a circle, and that's classed as art. And I was like, what? This is art? I never knew this was art, you know. And yeah, I don't want to go and put circular bits of mud.
No, but I understand what you're saying.
But it really opened my eyes to the fact that art isn't just about drawing an apple and an orange and a banana in a certain way, and, you know, getting the light right.
Well, I don't know about you. If anybody asks you what you do, and if you say you're an artist, do you often have so what do you paint? I get asked that all the time. I don't paint anything. Oh, what do you do then? Art is massive. It's not just painting. And like we were saying, the crafting, again, is the origins of art. It is the basic function of art. The art is the sophisticated product of craft, of solution, of caveman. You know, it's just the more sophisticated version.
When I get asked that question, I generally say anything that's not nailed down, and usually my clothes.
Actually, I've just started sewing on some clothes. I've got another place that is happy to take my more sweary stuff, because I'm just kind of graffitiing some clothing as well at the moment. I'm really enjoying that. I've always done that for myself, always, but now I've decided to put it on the clothes as well. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I used to paint on the back of denim jackets when I was a teenager. You know, we went through that stage, didn't we?
Donna, what are you doing? Nothing.
painting your shoes different colours and stuff.
Totally. Yeah.
So, my favourite question: if you could spend 24 hours with a famous artist, and this could be past, present, anybody. We've got a time machine now. We can go back in time. Who would you spend 24 hours with, and what would you do?
I have been thinking about this one so hard. There's so many.
I know. Well, I love asking it.
But I'm going to be really obvious. It's going to be Tracy Emin.
Yeah?
Yeah, totally. Partly because she's got a gob on her, and I love anyone with a gob. And also because I find her life really fascinating. And over the last few years, it's been gorgeous to see her. I don't know what the right wording would be, but she's progressed into a gentler stage. And again, her art is now becoming more sophisticated. It's got some, I don't know what, not that I don't think she was ever undignified, but her work now has got a dignity to it because it's got the weight of her life and her work behind it. And I really, really enjoy it. And I'd love to just sit and listen to her. I find her quite fascinating. And there have been periods over the years where I've really not liked her. Like, really not. Not that I know her as a human, but from what we are shown and what we see. I haven't liked her at all. And then I've gone, oh no, but I do. I think I'm in love with her a bit now. So overall, out of lots of the artists that I admire, I find her one of the most fascinating because the emotional response it invokes in me when I see or hear her.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter whether she's just having a quick interview or whether it's a piece of her work. I'm mesmerised by her. And I'm not mesmerised very often because I grew up with a family of artists. So I grew up, you know, there wasn't a lot of, oh my God, you're amazing. It was like, yeah, look what your auntie's done over there, and look what your uncle's done over there, and your uncle's there in a band, let's go and watch him play. And so it's not, it's once I'd realised that I was an artist and wanted to be an artist, it took a few years for me to then look at my whole family and think, shit, they're all brilliant. You know, some of my favourite artists are my family members.
Yeah.
They're fantastic. I taught my aunt stained glass years ago, and she hoofed that in the bin. She decided that was a load of shit. But now she really did. Now she makes glass on glass mosaic, and it's incredible.
Oh, wow.
So there are famous artists. Yeah, Tracy Emin for definite, 24 hours. But if I could go and spend 24 hours with me auntie Di, go on.
Yeah. I mean, I've had somebody say, you know, that they'd like to spend 24 hours with their mum who's no longer there, and you know, it's kind of, it is a difficult question, but it does make you think about, you know, what you know, value as an artist.
Yes. Yeah. Well, and for me, art comes from your heart and your soul. So where my heart is involved, I'm already half there. You know.
I think to be honest, I'd quite like to spend a day with you and Tracy Emin. I think that'd be entertaining.
I reckon we'd be fucking good company for a day.
Yeah, I think that'd be a good day.
Yeah.
Final question. What's in store for the future? Have you got anything that you're currently working on? You mentioned an exhibition coming up, clothing. Stuff.
Yeah, it's a pop-up clothes show. So I'm working on that, and so I'm just looking around my little room. I'm got a book to write, so that's going to start after I've done this.
Is that going to be poetry or? No,
it's not. It's
right.
No, it's just a book. Yeah, that one's by the by at the minute. And at the moment I've got some little pieces I'm painting to set up, hopefully, a little series of photographic story. We'll see how that works out, but that's more for fun over the summer while I'm still kind of recovering from this mental breakdown, because I'm not able, you know, right now we're having a good conversation because I've known that this is going to come up. There's hours and days where I'm just like, I sit dribbling. I'm really am. So having these little things around, you know, like that goes back to that, what would you advise somebody as an artist? When I'm stuck, I go back to my beginning. You know, just do 5 minutes and then leave it alone. Just do 5 minutes. So I also have ADHD, so there's always at least 10 projects started, and half of them I've forgotten, and I might find them in 20 years. That'd be great. So there's tons of stuff on the go constantly. But yeah, so mainly at the moment is getting the clothing done, and I want to get this little photograph series sorted out. And I'm a crap photographer, so that's another thing I've got to teach myself while I go along. And I want to teach myself to sing so I don't sound like I'm dying. That would be lovely. That's just for fun though. Yeah.
No, what you were saying about having lots of projects on the go at the same time, you know, I refer to that as the curse of the creative, because I'm like that at the moment. I've got probably at least 10 or 15 things on the go, and you know, I've got a book of poetry that I'm writing, and that's why I asked you whether the book was poetry. And,
have you?
Yeah, and you know, I've had that on the go for I don't know 2-3 years now, but I haven't really got that far with it. I've managed to put all the poems together, handwritten, but that are going in it. But I've never actually got around to actually sitting down with a computer and writing them up, and you know.
I was really lucky when
So some of them I've got to lay out in certain ways as well, because that's how I wrote them, if you know what I mean.
Right. Yes.
And I've got to work out how to do that on, you know, a Word document.
Well, some of yours float, don't they? The words float sort of over there a bit.
Yeah.
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 Good luck with that.
Yeah. I don't quite know. I really need to speak to somebody who's done it before and possibly, you know, pick their brains for an hour or two.
Well, see, when I got my book done, I got somebody else to do it for me. It's really simple. Just that. Can you print it, please? Thank you.
Yeah.
And that was that done.
Yeah, I had a friend who sent me a thing for self-publishing a book, but I still haven't got around to that either. So it's kind of, you know, I was just going to do a collection of other poems. This wasn't the one that I really want to do, but the one that I really want to do is actually about my childhood experiences, which is quite, you know, I'm in and I'm about whether to actually do it or not, because, yeah, for many reasons.
Well, this is what I was saying about the book writing. So there's three books in my head at the minute, and I'm like, ooh, it's difficult enough to talk about whatever it might be when you have family that you love and care for, and it's all connected and it touches around. But the healing of self has to come first, because without you, none of it around you exists. So
yeah,
it's a very fine line, isn't it?
Definitely. It's been great talking to you, and I could sit here and talk to you all evening, but I'm sure you've got other things you need to be doing, and I know my wife has got other things I need to be doing. So
get it done.
So yeah, I will catch up with you another time. I've no doubt. I'm planning on coming back to Southsea hopefully next year. So I will hopefully catch up with you then. But thank you so much for taking the time out, and
thank you, Darren. It's been lovely.
And having a chat, and I've learned quite a bit today, so, you know, pleased with that.
Thank you.
And if you like what you've heard today and seen today, please subscribe to my channel. If you just hit the subscribe link below, subscribe to my channel. I've now interviewed over 40 artists. I'm hoping to interview quite a lot more in the coming weeks, months and years. So yeah, hit that subscribe button and subscribe, and you'll know about all the interviews as they come along. Thanks again, Donna, and thank you all.